What if I told you the two most powerful smartphones of 2025 aren't just competing, they're practically rewriting the rules of performance? You might think you already know who wins, but by the end of this showdown, I promise, you'll look at these devices differently. Because speed isn't just about opening apps faster, it's about how a phone feels when you're pushing it to the absolute limit. Welcome back, viewers. Sam here. If you love these deep dive tech battles, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe so you don't miss the next big test. Trust me, what's coming next in this series is just as insane. Now, let's set the stage. On the left corner, draped in Apple's signature copper, orange glow, is the iPhone 17 Pro Max powered by the A19 Pro Bionic, a chip born out of TSMC's cutting-edge 3nm process. On the right corner, Samsung's beast, the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Armed with Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Elite and polished with One UI 8, this phone is not here to play around. Both carry 120Hz displays with stunning clarity, anti-reflective coatings, and design touches that scream premium. But here's the twist. Only one will take the crown for 2025's speed champion. We start simple, boot up. You'd expect a clear winner, but the truth, both phones lit up almost in unison. It was so close that you could blink and miss it. And right there, I knew this wasn't going to be a walkover for either side. Next, we dove straight into benchmarks. Geekbench 6 gave us the first taste of raw numbers. Apple stormed ahead in single-core performance with nearly 4,000 points versus Samsung's 2984. Multi-core, practically neck and neck. GPU, Apple doubled Samsung's score, 34-80-42 against 16-238. Sounds like Apple's crushing it, right? But here's where benchmarks can mislead you. Numbers on a chart don't always tell the story of real-world speed. So we move to what really matters, daily use. System apps were the first battleground. The dialer opened faster on the iPhone. Settings popped open quicker too. But then Samsung struck back with the camera, faster to open, faster to switch to the selfie shooter. Already, the phones were trading blows like heavyweights in round one. Then came third-party apps, and this is where things got fascinating. YouTube, faster on Samsung. Instagram's camera, quicker on Apple. TikTok leaned Samsung's way. Spotify too, while CoinMarketCap gave the win back to Apple. Back and forth, no clear dominance. It felt less like a test and more like a boxing match, each phone refusing to stay down. But gaming, that's where the gloves came off. Subway Surfers loaded faster on the iPhone, Asphalt 9. Samsung fired back with not only faster load times, but also the jaw, dropping 120 FOPS mode that Apple didn't even bother matching. Beach Buggy Racing 2 tilted back in Apple's favor, while PUBG Mobile ran smooth as butter on both. But again, the iPhone edged out slightly in load speed. And then came the heavy hitters Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves. Both phones ran them maxed out with glorious visuals and smooth animations. But loading times, the iPhone kept sneaking ahead by seconds. Those seconds matter when you're impatiently staring at a loading screen. But wait, the biggest shock came when we tested high-res camera processing. Shooting in maximum resolution, the iPhone snapped, processed, and saved images noticeably faster. Samsung wasn't far behind, but the difference was there, clear as day. And in a world where content creators are pumping out photos non-stop, seconds saved per shot add up. Then came the monster test, video rendering. Using Adobe Rush, we threw an 8-minute 4K clip at both phones. And honestly, the results were brutal. The iPhone 17 Pro Max finished rendering in less than half the time it took the S25 Ultra. Apple's GPU dominance wasn't just theory, it was screaming at us through this test. Now, Samsung wasn't ready to just roll over. Enter RAM management. With 12GB compared to Apple's 8GB, the S25 Ultra held apps alive in memory like a champ. We went back to Genshin, PUBG, TikTok, YouTube. Everything was still there, untouched. The iPhone, a couple of apps had already refreshed. It's not bad, but when it comes to multitasking, Samsung's lead is undeniable. Browsing was another neck and neck moment. Heavy sites loaded lightning fast on both devices, pages scrolled with zero stutter, and honestly, it was hard to pick a winner. This was one of those, both are ridiculously good, moments. By the end, we had two very clear stories. On one side, the iPhone dominates in creative workloads, benchmarks, GPU tasks, high-res image processing, and especially video rendering. On the other, Samsung flexes with RAM management, smoother social media app performance in some cases, and features like 120 FOPS gaming. Now here's something a lot of people forget. Samsung's S25 Ultra actually launched 9 months earlier. Think about that for a second. 9 months is an eternity in smartphone years, yet it's still standing toe to toe with Apple's freshest release. That's not just impressive, that's a statement about how good this phone still is. So the verdict: if you're a creator, the iPhone is your beast. If you're a multitasker or gamer, Samsung's got your back. But this isn't the end of the battle, because the true test of a phone isn't just speed. It's how long it can sustain that speed. And that brings us to the next war: battery life. You've seen phones fly through benchmarks and apps, but what happens after hours of use? Which one actually lasts longer when pushed to the limit? That's the test that could flip everything we think we know right now. Stick around, because that test is coming, and the results might shock you more than anything we've seen today.